All right. Thanks for the introductions. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Muoi from the National University of Singapore. This talk is about the feasibility of rerouting-based DDoS defense. And really enjoy work with my advisors, Ms. Suk Kang, also from the National University of Singapore, and Su Chun Xiao, Wei Xuan Chang, Su Po Tung, and Yu Su Huang from the National Taiwan University. I guess many people in this room may already know that DDoS or distributed denial of service attacks are very common in the current internet. And traditionally, volumetric DDoS attacks target the end server. But in this talk, we are more interested in a non-traditional type of DDoS attacks that target the transit link between autonomous systems. For example, the inter-domain link connecting level 3 and congest, for example. Transit link DDoS attacks are introduced in academic studies such as Cornell and Crossfire. And not just these two studies, we have also witnessed the real attack incident of transit link DDoS attacks. For example, in 2013, an attack targets spam house and almost brought down the entire internet. And for example, in 2015, an attack disconnected Proton Mail service for almost a week. Transit link DDoS attacks are hard to handle, and these attacks use distributed botnets to generate low-rate traffic to aggregate the traffic at the targeted transit link to congest it before distributing the traffic again. And it is hard to filter these attack flows because the attack traffic is indistinguishable from the benign traffic. And moreover, any benign traffic flow that travel the congested link will also experience the poor performance, and the victims are indirectly affected by the congested link. Transit link DDoS attacks still remain an open problem despite several defense proposals in the last decade. There are well-known solutions to transit link DDoS attacks, such as Tran and Zebra. However, they rely on the future internet architectures and hence not available in the current internet. There are several other solutions as well that try to make the transit link DDoS attack less effective. However, they are only partial solutions at best. And very recently, in 2018, there is a new approach called routing around congestion proposed by Smith et al. That claims to be a readily deployable solution in the current internet for transit link DDoS attacks. And in our work, we evaluate whether the rerouting-based solutions like routing around congestion are feasible or not. So let's try to understand how routing around congestion works. But first, we have to go through this super high-level overview of how BGP routing protocol works in the current internet. So BGP is a path vector routing protocol in which the routing message carries the inter-domain path and it broadcasts to the entire internet. And as you can see from this animation, the destination sends out a BGP message, and at each hop, the AS number is appended into the message. And after learning the AS path included in the BGP message, the source of the traffic will just send the traffic. And there are two characteristics of BGP protocol we would like to highlight here. First, the AS path included in the BGP message is guaranteed to be loop-free. Otherwise, the traffic will be forwarded in a loop. And second, the destination of the traffic has no control over the traffic path by design. So you now may wonder, if the destination has no control over the traffic path, then how the destination can perform any rerouting to avoid the transit link DDoS attacks. Turns out, routing around congestion exploits one basic feature of BGP protocol that we just mentioned earlier about the loop-free AS path. And let me try to explain how routing around congestion works with this example. So in this example, we have the destination of the traffic on the left-hand side, the source AS in the right-hand side, and the traffic path is highlighted in the blue color here. And the original path currently is under congestion. So the destination want to avoid the congestion by reroute its critical traffic around ASW and reroute it into a new detour path. So the trick here is that the victim will create a special BGP message, which we call BGP poisoning message, that includes ASW in the AS part from the beginning. This BGP poisoning message is propagated to upstream AS, except ASW, who will see its OAS number in the AS part and drop it due to the loop detection algorithm. So we say ASW is now poisoned. So by simply poisoning ASW, the victim destination can create a detour and reroute its critical traffic to the detour part. And really the beauty of these ideas is that it doesn't require any AS collaboration, which make it readily available in the current internet. And the victim destination just doesn't require any permission of the upstream AS and can initiate the rerouting by itself. So routing around congestion seems to work pretty well. So we have a question. Will routing around congestion defense still work against adaptive attackers who can, after learning about the behavior of the defense, can change and adaptively change the attack strategy? So in our work, we saw such adaptive attack indeed possible and very effective in fact. And the mitigation against this adaptive attack is challenging in practice. And we also discussed the future direction for transitioning DDoS defense. We propose a new adaptive attack, and we call it the detour-learning attack. So here's a threat model that we consider. The adversary has 3 attack goals in 3 steps, which are to detect the rerouting in real time, and to learn the new detour path accurately, and finally, to congest the new detour path. So for the interest of time, we will focus on the first 2 attack goals in this talk. And for the third attack goal, please check out our papers. And our detour-learning attacks use the same botnet as used in the transitioning DDoS attacks, which means we don't require any additional attack capabilities. So as the first part of the attacks, we will show you how a remote adversary can detect rerouting in real time. In our attack, an adversary, every few minutes or so, will have her botnet to measure the traffic path towards a victim destination using some active measurement tool like Reroute. When the victim destination send out the BGP poisoning message and reroute its critical flow into the detour path, there is an important observation that some AES that are not on the detour path, like ASI in this example, will also receive the BGP poisoning message. And hence, ASI will also change the traffic path towards the victim destination to the detour path, which allows the adversary to see the sudden change in the route measurement and detect the rerouting in real time. So as you can see from this example, detecting rerouting seems to be easy. However, the second step, how to learn the correct detour path, is much more challenging. So to put into the context, let's take a look at the example right here. And the adversary may control several distributed botnets in practice, and each one of them may have different route measurement towards the victim destination. So the practical challenge for the adversary here is that which route is more accurate measurement of the actual detour path. So our solution is to prioritize the route that is from the boat that is made closer to the traffic source. And intuitively, the closer AES tend to have the similar BGP propagation path, and hence the similar AES, the traffic path as well. There could be several other metrics to measure the distance between the AES, but in our attacks, we use AES path length. From the selected route measurement, our adversary can congest the transit link that is 1 hop away from the victim, so that the victim cannot detect the attacks. And for more detail on this step, please check out our papers. And as a result, our adversary can achieve around 94% of the correct detour path. And just by the way, we have this result using the realistic Muoi botnet datasets. So in the second part of the talk, we will show you that the detour-learning attacks is very hard to mitigate in practice. So the main reason that make the detour-learning attack possible is that some AES are not on the detour path, like ASI and ASZ in this example, also use the detour path and learn about the detour path. So we argue that the detour path must achieve a very desired properties, which we call the isolated detour path, or the detour path must be isolated. So a detour is said to be isolated when it is used exclusively for the critical traffic only. And then when this happens, no other flow will learn about the detour path, and then the detour learning attacks is no longer possible. So the question here is that how do we isolate the detour path? And as we mentioned earlier about the BGP poisoning, we have to poison all peers of the AES on the detour path. When this happens, only the AES on the detour path will learn about the detour, and hence the detour path can be isolated. But what we figured out is that to achieve the detour path isolation, we may have to poison too many AES. So we actually count the number of AES should be poisoned to achieve the detour path, and show it in this CDF plot. So as you can see from this CDF plot, we can easily have thousands of AES to be poisoned. It's quite surprising, but I mean, why do we have to poison so many of them? So we took a closer look on the AES that are on the detour path, and we find out that we can almost always find at least one tier 1 or last tier 2 AES on the detour path. And these AES can easily have thousands of the peering AES. So the main question here now is that can we poison that many AES? We actually look at the BGP specification and confirm that the specification can allow one BGP message to carry about 2,034 AES in one single BGP message. This means about 80% of the detour path can be isolated, which is not too bad actually. But when we look at the implementation of BGP in practice in the router, and we quickly find out that some router vendors, like Cisco routers, only allow up to 255 AES in one single BGP message. This means they are only 5% of the detour path can be isolated. And worse yet, we talked to several ISP, and we learned that they may allow BGP poisoning, but up to 30 or 50 AES at most, but no more than that. So the short answers to the question in the title is that no, we cannot poison that many AES. And to confirm this, we perform a large-scale passive analysis of the actual BGP message, and so the result is this plot. So the x-axis indicates the number of AES seen in the BGP message, and the y-axis is the number of BGP messages. Our analysis shows that the vast majority of BGP messages have less than 30 AES in the AES path. And laterally, when we see more and more AES in the BGP message, we see less and less number of BGP messages. And very interesting, we see a 50-time drop around the threshold of 255, which confirms that the majority of ISP do not support poisoning more than 255 AES. So to conclude, poisoning thousands of AES is really impossible. Or in other words, detour path isolation is infeasible, and detour learning attacks is always, almost always possible. So what are the future directions for the transit-link DDoS defense? We cannot use rerouting solution in the current internet, and the transit DDoS attack still remain an open problem. So we argue that for future direction of the transit-link DDoS defense, there is a design property for the defense, which we call destination control routing, which means the traffic destination should have some control over the routing of its critical traffic. So we just see that hacking the BGP protocol, like routing around congestion, simply doesn't work. And in another extreme, we may have the clean slate internet architectures like Stripe and Zebra. However, they are too costly to deploy. So as you can see from here, we believe there is a space between these two extremes. And for example, if we can make some minimal change to the BGP protocol that supports some simple feature like explicitly allows the rerouting for the destination to control the critical flow under some emergency situation like under DDoS attacks. Then it could be extremely helpful. From our study, we have learned two important lessons. First, hacking the current internet routing is flawed ideas because adaptive attacks are possible and its mitigation is hard. Adaptive defense is slower than adaptive attackers. We have shown in the paper. And perhaps more importantly, the second lesson is that the analysis of the protocol specification alone is insufficient. And the protocol specification, its implementation and the configuration in practice may be totally different. And especially in some systems like BGP, as we saw earlier, we observed there are quite large gap between these three. So in conclusion, detour-learning attacks are effective and hard to mitigate. Therefore, unfortunately, the transit-linked DDoS attacks still remain an open problem. And we suggest the future direction for transit-linked DDoS defense is to balance between the destination control routing and the deployabilities. And finally, we have learned two important lessons. Hacking BGP for rerouting is flawed ideas, and analysis with specification alone can be dangerous. And that's all for my presentation today. My name is Muoi. I would be happy to take questions.
All right, we have time for questions. Great.
Tobias Fiebig, TU Delft, hello. How does your work relate to all the work in the internet measurement community on BGP black holing to defend against DDoS?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't catch the question. Can you repeat it?
How does your work relate to all the work in the internet measurement community on BGP black holing to defend against DDoS?
Also for the internet, so you are asking about the...
I'm asking about BGP black holing to defend against DDoS.
So the internet black holing is like you use your BGP poisoning to absorb the traffic, attack traffic. Is that what you mean?
Yes, to null route at like tier 1 and IXPs. But if you want, we can take this offline.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Debbie Perulli, Marquette University. Your methodology to find the detour path, does it make the assumption that the path, the data path, from the botnet to the destination is the same as the path from the destination to the botnet?
No, we made no assumption on that. So the traffic, the path between from the botnet to the destination and the other way around can be different.
So the trace route will tell you the data path from the botnet to the destination?
Yes, that's correct.
Which could be different from the trace route that the destination would do to the botnet?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Another round of applause for our speaker. Thank you, Muoi.